My wife doesn't like our daughter. Ever since our daughter was born, my wife spent 6 out of the 7 years on business trips. When our daughter got sick, I called her, begging, come back and be with her, please. She's not doing well. Her voice was cold. You can lie all you want. What a mess you've made of her. If she's dying, then let her die. Before she hung up, I heard a familiar child's voice on her end, asking her to buy him a toy. I gave a bitter smile. A weak voice whispered in my ear, Daddy, it's okay. Our daughter died on her 7th birthday, and that woman who hated her the most lost her mind. We had been married for less than a year when our daughter was born. She weighed over 8 pounds, and it nearly caused her mom to faint. I was so worried back then. Before she turned 1, my wife stopped nursing and rushed back to run her dad's business. We would barely cross paths. Our marriage was cold and distant. I thought she resented our daughter because of the pain from childbirth. But later, I found out it was because she couldn't leave with her lover due to the pregnancy. Once, after catching her out drunk from a business meeting, I heard her complaints, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant. I hate you. Sometimes, she even complained about her father. All you care about is the company. It's just about luck. It was because I couldn't terminate the pregnancy back then that I'm stuck for life. Whenever she said these things, I would hold her tight. Because I knew, if she really hadn't wanted it, the child wouldn't have been born safely. But now, my resolve is wavering. I hadn't seen her in a while when she showed up at the hospital. I was getting medicine for our daughter when I saw her. My throat felt tight, and I couldn't speak. The hospital's cold hallway made her look more weary. But this tiredness wasn't for our daughter. Mike, does your head still hurt? She was doting on a little boy. I never knew she had a maternal side. Apparently, our daughter wasn't worthy. The medicine in my hand felt heavier. I wanted to leave, but she saw me. Her eyes flashed with a bit of guilt. Her tone accusatory. Why are you at the hospital? Why was I at the hospital? I had called her countless times that month, but her line was always busy. Knowing her work was demanding, I texted her, saying our daughter isn't well. Can you come back to see her? She impatiently replied, full of complaints, she's getting better at lying. Learned from you. Always deliberately hurting herself to get me back. I manage millions every minute, and she and you act so irresponsibly? She thought my daughter and I were playing tricks, even when I showed up at the hospital. It took me a while to find my voice. Why are you here? Ignoring me, she said, Mike's got a headache. I brought him for a checkup. It was just that simple. I hadn't spoken yet, but it was clear she didn't want to deal with me, as if I were some stranger. Holding the boy's hand, she soothed him. Let's go, Mike. You shouldn't eat so much ice at once. Okay? If something happens to you, your dad would be really upset. For the first time in years, I felt my heart shatter with unbearable pain. I had always feared not fulfilling my duties as a husband and father, always obeyed her every word. But once that man returned, everything I did seemed worthless. Matters of the heart were just my wishful thinking. I didn't mind it much. But why did she shut out our daughter too? I walked quietly back into my daughter's hospital room. She seemed confused. The nurse said she was calling for her mom. I hurried out, determined to bring my wife to her. But at the hospital entrance, I saw a man in a custom suit picking up my wife and the boy. The way they interacted was too familiar, like they were a family of 3. I was stunned right there. Before getting in the car, my wife looked back, as if by some chance. She clearly saw me, maybe even saw my pleading eyes. But the next second, she decisively got in the car. I returned to my daughter's side, feeling lost. Her eyes were moist. Daddy, was Mom here? Why didn't you wake me up? I hugged her tightly, overwhelmed with a mix of emotions, not knowing how to respond. Daddy, I miss Mom. When will she come again? My daughter's small hand clutched my shirt. I looked at my fingers, realizing it had been 2 weeks since they last met. She's at the age where she needs her mom the most. Unfortunately, I'm a useless father, unable to give her a complete family. Taking a deep breath, I tried to stay calm. Mom will come see you soon. She misses you too. She just has some things to handle right now. Be good, and once she's done, she'll come. My daughter nodded weakly. I'll be good, Daddy. I'm not lying to Mom this time. Look, I'm really sick. The nurse said my illness is pretty serious. Mom will definitely come back. Seeing her clear, hopeful eyes tore my heart apart. She was just a child under 7, yet she had to go to such lengths for a bit of her mom's attention. The video my wife watched wasn't the whole story. Our daughter had scored an A in school and wanted to tell her mom immediately, but her mom was too busy and hung up the video call. Knowing the real-time monitoring at home, she stepped onto the table to show her mom the big A on her paper. When there was no response, she jumped down and ended up twisting her ankle. Her mom rushed back when she heard about the swelling. With both parents there, she was happy for 2 days. But Mom saw the video and instantly assumed our daughter hurt herself for attention. She even linked previous minor incidents to deliberate acts. She scolded me, "The stay-at-home dad. Is this how you raise a child? How can she be so flawed at such a young age? What future does she have?" I wanted to explain to my daughter, but my wife covered her ears. She warned me, "If you let her get my attention like that again, I'll divorce you." Hearing the word divorce, I got scared. After all, I poured everything into their mother-daughter relationship, trying hard to give my daughter a complete family. Thinking about this, I weakly held my daughter's little hand, wanting to tell her that Mom wouldn't care even if she was sick, but I held back. Back then, someone drugged my wife. The effect was so strong that, on the way to the hospital, she clung to me. She grabbed my hand, burning with passion, begging for help. How could I refuse? Besides, she was the woman I always dreamed about. The hospital was far, and I worried that if I didn't act fast, it might harm her. What started as hesitation turned into fierce passion, and just once resulted in a little one. At that time, my wife's love had just returned to the country and wanted to take her away. But the day before leaving, he found out there was a tiny life in her belly. My wife was upset it wasn't understood by him. He left, angry. She wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but her superstitious parents stopped her. I begged, almost tearing my heart and soul, to earn the right to care for her and the child for a lifetime. She's always been cold since we got married. But whenever I thought of her passion that night, I believed I could warm her heart. Before our daughter was born, I took care of her in every possible way. I didn't let nannies do what I could handle myself. Whatever she liked to eat, no matter how difficult, I learned to make it to serve her hot. If she enjoyed doing something, no matter how busy, I squeezed out time to join her. I didn't want her to see emptiness in my eyes. After our daughter was born, I felt even more confident. The daughter looked like her, with chubby cheeks and adorable eyes. Even strangers couldn't resist showing affection. Though as she lay on the delivery bed, I brought our child in front of her and she just glanced briefly, saying, "What a pity she looks exactly like you." Then she turned away and slept, without a hint of excitement or happiness as a new mom. I was so scared she had postpartum depression. I stayed with her all the time. I initially thought it's unfair to tie a woman down with a child. So if one day she wanted to leave, I wouldn't stop her. But until then, being good to her was my only choice. Life and intentions were that simple. I quickly realized my simplicity was just wishful thinking. She hated me and thus hated our daughter who was related to me. Nick came back 3 months ago, and I thought she'd ask for a divorce. Surprisingly, she said, "Take good care of our daughter at home. I'll send you money on time." I was already taking care of our daughter, so what's the unnecessary remark? But she never gave me room to refute. Her second week in the hospital, the doctor suggested doing things she wanted in her last days. Thick-skinned, I called again. "Hey, our daughter wants to talk to you. Can you listen?" There was brief silence on the other end. Finally, her cold voice came through the phone. "Okay, let her speak." I handed the phone to my daughter. Carefully, she took it. "Mom, I've always wanted you. I know you're busy, but can you see me?" After a while, she seemed busy with something, only answering, "What did you say?" Daughter's voice now had a teary tone. "Mom, I said I miss you. In my remaining time, can you stay with me?" There was silence again. I nervously watched my daughter, afraid she'd be let down. Finally, my wife compromised. Okay, Mom will try to arrange time to see you, but if you lie again, Mom will pretend you don't exist. Daughter felt both wronged and happy hearing this response. And for me, it was heartbreaking. Then my wife had our daughter hand the phone back and started scolding me. I thought you couldn't focus on our daughter. I already told your boss I got you fired. I forced a smile, suddenly feeling so tired. I'm a programmer. When our daughter was born, I applied to work from home. I even decided to quit if my boss didn't agree. Yet, since he didn't want to lose a tech expert, he agreed. However, my wife thought working at home meant not focusing on our daughter. Caught playing a game while our daughter slept, she scolded me. She barely cares about our home, yet brings it up each time we meet. I usually explain patiently that I was relaxing and always there for her when she was awake. Now, I didn't want to say even half a word. In response to her usual disinterest, I replied wearily, "Whatever." She coldly said her patience limitedly. "I have to go to City B this week, soothe our daughter. I'll visit her when I get back." To ensure daughter heard her mom's voice, I left the speaker on. Suddenly, daughter's once happy face faded completely. She couldn't help but ask, "Mom, aren't you coming to see me?" Sensing the mood change, my wife explained patiently. "If plans change, Mom will return. Be obedient, or Mom won't want you." Though pouting, my daughter didn't throw a tantrum. She was told not to be noisy by her mom. I reassured her. Facing my phone, I said, "You go do your thing." My wife's patience ran out, and she hung up faster than I did. When packing my daughter's clothes, my wife unexpectedly came home. Her appearances have become surprises for us. No matter the disappointment, seeing her is always unexpected. All that resentment built up in my heart seemed to vanish in an instant. I habitually walked up to her, ready to take the bag from my wife's hand, but she sidestepped me. I froze on the spot, feeling like a bucket of cold water was dumped over my enthusiasm. Is this really the wife I know? The one who would accept my goodwill even if she didn't love me? Seems like she truly doesn't need me anymore. I looked at the outline of her face. The softness that once captivated me now seemed so indifferent. "Why'd you come back?" I asked cautiously. My wife didn't respond, just kept walking, like I was invisible. I saw her stop at our daughter's bedroom door, and I hurried to catch up, wanting to explain things to her. "Forget it, if she's asleep, don't wake her," she said flatly. I was about to mention our daughters in the hospital. Then her phone rang. "Hello? Mike? Fell? I'll be right there, don't worry." She completely ignored me standing there, and in her rush, she grazed past me, causing a pang in my heart. My daughter's condition was acute. It had been 2 months by the time we discovered it. Seeing her body suffering from the pain, I was heartbroken. After a couple of days, I decided I had to talk to my wife. In her beautifully decorated office, I saw her sitting there gently blowing on hot porridge, feeding it to a little boy named Mike. This was the kind of motherly love my daughter had only ever dreamed of. I always thought she was composed, strong, not very emotional. Apparently, she just chose who she was that way with. Watching her, a wave of emotion surged in my heart. My wife looked up and saw me. Her eyes went from warm to icy. "Why aren't you taking care of your daughter? What are you doing here?" The corners of my lips turned up into a bitter smile. "So you do remember you have a daughter. Do you even know about her?" "Kathy, is this your man?" The man walking in cut off my words. I looked coldly at him. It was Nick. "Jason, don't get it wrong. Kathy and I are just friends, and Mike likes Kathy too." His smile clearly showed, like an explanation but really staking his claim. I couldn't believe my wife wouldn't see through this, but she didn't react. "Daddy, you're here. Mom treats me so well. I want to live with her from now on." The boy sweetly wrapped his arms around my wife. She instinctively shrank back, her eyes moving past me and settling on Nick, not looking away. By now, I had pieced together most of it. My heart felt like it was hammered, but I stayed rational, not exploding on the spot. Before Nick came back, I stumbled upon my wife's phone in the study, which she forgot to take. A notification popped up with an unread message. and I couldn't stop myself from opening it. The message was simple. I'm back. Those words cut into my heart like a sharp knife. Despite feeling uneasy, I didn't want unfounded suspicion to ruin the calm that was returning between me and my wife. Until now, it was finally over. I always saw my wife with a filter. I thought she didn't love me or our daughter, but she was a person of principles. As long as we weren't divorced, she wouldn't cheat. She always had the upper hand from start to finish. But now, I underestimated human nature. Once I accepted it, the anger inside me just burned out. The atmosphere turned awkward, and Nick eventually broke the tension. Mike, didn't Daddy tell you not to call people randomly? It's okay. My wife's eyes were full of warmth she couldn't hide. Mike's so well behaved and sweet. I've always wanted a child like him. Kathy, you're so good to Mike. He's lucky to have you. They continued to ignore my presence, not caring why I was there. Knowing it was pointless to stay, I turned and left. Initially, I came to ask her to take time off work, to spend the last 2 months with our daughter. Now there's no need. She doesn't love our daughter. She loves Mike. When our daughter was 3, she started kindergarten, and her drawing in art class was posted on the school's most prominent bulletin board. A picture of a smiling dad, a pouting mom, and herself holding their hands. Seeing it, my wife criticized the 3-year-old. Is this how you see me? But honey, have you ever shown her a kind face? Kids are so imaginative at that age. I tried to explain for our daughter, but my wife started scolding again. She's your responsibility. What do you tell her behind my back? She drew this way because you put ideas in her head. I stayed silent for a moment, not wanting to argue in front of our daughter. When she was 6, she started 1st grade. The teacher announced they'll commend students who placed in the exam at the upcoming parent meeting. Our daughter was ranked 1st, and she begged the teacher to make sure this time Dad couldn't fill in, or my wife would inevitably send me again. The school teacher, sympathetic toward the child, agreed immediately. Kathy, could you clear your schedule to come to the school's parent meeting on Wednesday? When I picked up my daughter from school, I overheard her teacher calling my wife. I looked at our daughter's hopeful little face and silently prayed my wife wouldn't decline. Even just once would be enough. I heard no outright refusal and began to feel hopeful. Then on Wednesday, I still got her message. Something came up last minute, you'll have to attend our daughter's meeting. Although I'd hoped, I was not surprised by this outcome. I was just worried my daughter would be even more disappointed if she found out. As I walked up to her school, I was surprised to see my wife's black car parked out front. My eyes opened with anticipation, but it was my wife's assistant stepping out of the car. This is from the boss for the teacher, the assistant said, handing over a gift with no lack of generosity. The boss wanted a word with the teacher. The kid's a handful, her behavior is lacking, and she's tough to manage. Sorry for the trouble. You can criticize her all you need at this meeting. If she's naughty, go ahead and paddle her. Don't bother giving Kathy any slack. I was stunned watching this unfold and felt bad for my daughter. If my wife couldn't make it, fine, but to send the assistant with such a message? The teacher, clearly flustered by the situation, looked awkward and confused. Actually, the teacher was about to explain when the assistant took off. I walked towards my daughter's classroom, catching the sigh of the teacher as I left. My daughter saw me and her eyes lit up with delight. Dad, you came, she exclaimed, running over and hugging me. I forced a smile, though I felt bitter inside. I knew she was hoping for her mom, not me, but she buried her disappointment deep down. See, isn't my daughter such a sweet and well-behaved kid? When we got home, my wife was already waiting in the living room. As soon as she saw me, she stood up with a cold expression. What did the teacher say? What terrible thing did she do that needed my attention? I looked at her, knowing we needed a serious talk. The next second, she checked her watch. I can't, no time, I've got a client appointment. We'll talk later. I thought maybe she'd come back for our daughter, or even to scold her. But no, she was just home to pick something up. My daughter clutched her award and walked to her tiny room, looking a bit down. At 7 years old, she passed away in a hospital bed. Before that, I painfully recorded her last few moments. Barely conscious, she mumbled, "Dad. Mom said she'd come to take me home. Is she here?" At that, I dropped my phone and hugged her tightly, holding her until her body turned cold. Today was her 7th birthday. The doctor said she lost the will to live. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gone sooner than expected. On her birthday, everyone wished her happiness, but she wasn't happy. Her mom forgot. She waited until 9 p.m., feeling unwell, then called her mom. The voice on the other end sounded tired. "Why are you calling me this late? Where's your dad? How's he looking after you?" She didn't know it would be the last call she'd ever make to her mom. If her mom had known, would she have spoken differently? "Mom, will you come see me? Do you remember what today is? I told you my schedule might change, didn't I? Can't you be more sensible? We'll talk when I get home." Beep. After her mom hung up, my daughter slipped into a series of comas and quietly passed away in my arms. Blankly, I gazed at her lifeless face and strangely felt some relief. Her short life was exhausting. Not once did I not wish I could trade my life for even the slightest bit of attention from her mom. She deserved so much better. After she left, the house felt instantly empty. I stared at her photo, her once smiling face now only visible in memories. Surely, she's in a place now free of pain or suffering, living freely, right? I hope she doesn't have to deal with negligent parents like us in her next life. A few days later, my wife seemed to remember something, bombarding me with messages blaming me. "You didn't remind me of her birthday? What use are you to me? Were you trying to create a disconnect between me and our daughter?" I used to remind her about everything, more reliable than her assistant, especially when it came to our daughter. Her favorite color for dresses, her shoe size, her friends' names, her birthday, and the gifts she wished for. Turns out, without my reminders, she knew nothing. When I didn't reply, another message came through. "Jason, can't you grow up? Wasn't it you who told me to focus on my career? Shouldn't you handle things at home then? Do you know how much effort it takes to expand business, making me sick from drinking? My in-laws both passed away 2 years ago. Now our daughter was gone, and I was wondering how to break it to her when a call came in. I thought it might be about compensating for our daughter's gift, but instead, I got an earful, mostly blaming me for not understanding her, for causing trouble for her. In the past, I'd wait for her to finish her rant before speaking, but as I was about to talk, it sounded like someone grabbed her phone. I heard a child's voice in the background, insistent, "Mom, you promised to be with me? Why are you on the phone? Mike, be good, pass me the phone." No. I could sense the kid was stubborn, reluctant to hand it back to my wife, but she was uncharacteristically patient, gently coaxing him. Silently, I hung up and blocked her contact everywhere. A month later, she came back. As I looked at her, I felt indifference like never before. Thinking of my daughter, still so small and fond of her mom, I had vowed not to jump straight to divorce unless my wife brought it up. Now the thought of divorce was inevitable. "Jason, are you crazy? Ignoring my messages? Unreachable by phone? Can we even live like this?" She launched straight into a scolding session. Didn't even realize our daughter was gone. Oh, she probably assumed she was still at school. Unfazed, I continued packing my bags. This house, a wedding gift from my father-in-law, carried both our names. For the divorce, I wouldn't keep it. Let her have it all. "Where's our daughter?" Seeing I wasn't reacting, she stopped nagging and put down an expensive set of building blocks. "Our daughter doesn't even like building blocks. I've told her that 100 times. My wife was used to the obedient, quiet me. It's like she didn't expect me to talk back, and her face looked a bit sour. Are you trying to start a fight? I came back a week early. Who did I do that for? You blocked me with our daughter's help? What are you up to? Guess I should never have left her with you. Learning all the wrong things." I didn't respond to her complaints, just coldly questioned, "So what? You think you messed up raising our daughter, so you're going to double your efforts on your son?" That seemed to hit a nerve. Her face turned sour with anger. "Jason, that's not what this is." An ill-timed doorbell rang. It was Nick. "Jason, I'm sorry for the unexpected visit. Am I interrupting?" His words were polite, but his eyes didn't show a hint of apology. He walked in without waiting for an invitation, his son Mike tagging along. "Mommy!" The sweet-talking little guy darted into my wife's arms. She hadn't expected them and glanced at Nick, frowning. "Didn't you say you wouldn't come over here? Mike kept asking to see you." Couldn't say no. Before Nick even finished speaking, his son spotted the set of building blocks my wife brought home. "Mom, is this for me?" "Thanks, Mom." No, it's not." Before my wife could explain, Nick cut in. "Go play over there, Mike." The little boy took the toy and left us 3 adults alone. Seeing this father-son duo barge in uninvited, my patience snapped. I lunged at Nick, landing a punch across his face. "Couldn't you wait 2 more days?" My eyes were full of rage, startling both Nick and my wife. "Jason, what's wrong with you? There's a child here." She stood between us, trying to prevent a fight. I locked eyes with her. "Let's divorce and you can be with them." She paused for a moment, and Nick quickly wrapped an arm around her shoulder. Even after taking a hit, the smug look on his face told me he thought he'd won. "Jason, don't get so worked up. As a father, you know how much kids miss their moms." I couldn't bear it either, so I brought Mike over. "I've already started moving my stuff out. I don't want any more drama with them." I turned to leave. My wife grabbed my hand and whispered, "Mike calls me Mom because he lost his mother young. Don't get the wrong idea." I ignored her, quietly heading to the bedroom. A notification popped up on my phone. It was a parentage test between my wife and Mike. I stared blankly at the door, spotting Nick with a phone in his hand, asserting his twisted victory. Felt like my blood ran cold. The next day, knowing there were still some of our daughter's things, I went back. As soon as I opened the door, a mug shattered against the wall by my side. "You know how to come back home? Jason, you're too old for running away like this." She wasn't her usual polished self, looking worn out and weary, as one would expect at her age. "Where's our daughter?" She seemed to have stayed home all day, but I didn't come back, and neither did our daughter. She finally lost her cool. "Are you trying to use her as leverage in a divorce?" "I'm telling you, you're dreaming. Give me my daughter and do whatever you want with your life." Her incessant shouting made my head throb. Flatly, I replied, "I never thought of it that way." Surprised by my calm, she too cooled down a bit. "Then why didn't you bring her back?" Hearing the faint nervousness in her voice made me smirk inside. I silently went over to the cabinet and took out our daughter's urn. "You want to know where she is?" "Right here in this box." She froze, eyes wide open, lips trembling but unable to make a sound. "Did you kill her?" She finally managed to say in an accusing tone. "You killed her. It was you who stripped her of the will to live. If you hadn't abandoned her, she might have hung on until you came back. You left her to flounder in loneliness and pain." Forcing her hand. Incredulous, she looked at me, then broke down crying, covering her face. Suddenly, she lashed out, grabbing my collar. "Is this some sick act? Where did you hide our daughter? Give her back." I let out a scoff, throwing her our daughter's death certificate. Her pupils contracted as she desperately tried to see if it was fake. You did," her face drained of color, words failing her. "This can't be. You never told me how she was." I gave a bitter smile. She seemed to have forgotten a lot, but none of it mattered now. Gently holding the urn, I glanced at her one last time. "You ignored my calls, my messages. I told you about her symptoms, how long she had left. Everything. You dismissed it as a trick. You didn't even care to see her one last time. What gives you the right to crumble now?" She shook at my words, looking lost and helpless, as if she'd lost her path in life. "My lawyer will get in touch about the divorce." Without looking back, I left. Seeing her there, I didn't need to hurry packing up our daughter's room. Let her see everything and let guilt consume her forever. That night, she sent lots of voice messages asking me to come back. I could tell she'd been drinking a lot. Reluctantly, I went to see what stunt she wanted to pull. Returning to what was once our cold home, I found her lying on the couch. The room was full of our daughter's belongings. Her diary, though messy, wrote Mom on countless pages. Our daughter had drawn lots of pictures, each with her smiling mom. Every time my daughter felt like it, She would make a little craft for her mom, though she never got to give any away. Then there was the photo album I took of her. Except for the sneaky photos, there wasn't a single proper picture of the two of them together. In just half a day, my wife looked so tired. When she saw me, she ran to me, seeking comfort. She wasn't the high and mighty queen she used to be. I'm sorry for neglecting you both. What did our daughter say before she left? Please tell me. I pulled out my phone and showed her a video of our daughter murmuring to herself. Daddy, I think I hear something. Is Mom here to pick me up? Daddy, if Mommy isn't here, maybe she's stuck in traffic. Please don't blame her. You and Mom should be good to each other. Daddy, Mom must be really tired from work. That's why she forgot to wish me a happy birthday. It's okay. Her already swollen eyes welled up with tears again, and she collapsed to the floor, sobbing. I want to leave, she cried, clinging to me. It's always been you I love. I just couldn't accept it. I could have left with him back then. I love our daughter, but seeing her face was a constant reminder of how close I came to happiness, and I just couldn't accept it. I've realized all I want is right here. Don't leave me. I won't agree to the divorce. I slowly pried her hands from me, my gaze resolute. We've come too far to turn back. She looked at me, teary-eyed, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. You've got some nerve, don't you? Asking for a divorce? She scoffed, bitterness and self-mockery in her smile. Wasn't it all of you who ruined my life? Now I have nothing. No, you once had my loyalty and our daughter's kindness, but you took it for granted. I glanced back at the house that used to echo with our daughter's laughter. I said quietly back then, Nick was the one who planned for you to take the pills. Knowing your dad wouldn't approve, he went for a desperate gamble. He got held up unexpectedly. If I hadn't gotten there in time, we would have lost you. Your father wanted to tell you the truth before he passed, but you were too stubborn to come back, and you missed it. I walked away without turning back. I finally let go. As I turned, I heard her desperate cries. A week later, she asked me to meet at a cafe by my office to talk divorce. She said not to bring a lawyer, or she'd make it hard for me. I agreed, wanting it over quickly. I was surprised when Nick showed up first, still looking sharp but nowhere near as confident. Jason, what did you tell Kathy? He nearly sprinted over the moment he saw me, like a man on a mission. But I wasn't afraid. What was he going to do? Stand up to two of my punches? As I opened my mouth, Kathy appeared, quickly shoving Nick aside as if protecting me. What are you doing here? Oh, she was cross with him. Did they fall out already? Nick shot me a dirty look but spoke quickly. Kathy, haven't you been waiting for me? Mike loves you so much. Can't you be his mom? You never cared about your daughter. What's the big deal if she's gone? Smack. The slap resounded as 5 red fingerprints appeared on Nick's cheek. He was dumbfounded. You hit me? His eyes widened. Nick, we're done. And my daughter was a part of my life. I never cared for your son. Nick's expression shifted from anger to shock to spite when he glanced my way, as if he wished me ill. What did I do? He took a few steps back, accusingly pointing at Kathy. So you've been lying to me all these years? I loved you. Kathy cut him off. You only ever wanted what you wanted. Never considered my feelings. Who are you? You think you can keep playing games? You sent Jason a photo with a fake paternity test, and I know it. I've had enough. Don't let me see you again. Her power was intimidating. Nick clenched his fists, trying to manage his anger. I might have enjoyed the scene, but the security Kathy called dragged Nick away. Before he left, he screamed, red-eyed, calling me names. Jason, who do you think you are? Kathy waited for me. I'm the real winner here. You don't deserve her. His words flowed in one ear and out the other. I turned to the point. I can take less and you choose the conditions. But the divorce needs to be signed now. I want no ties with Kathy from now on. Kathy wanted to keep our daughter's things. But at just 7, she had little. Not much besides a closet full of dresses, bags, and shoes bought by her mom. Left and used as if they never had an owner. Since first grade, our daughter wore nothing but uniforms. Yet her mom never asked. The fancy stuff was always sent by her assistant, regardless if our daughter liked or wore them. In the end, Kathy did stall. Meanwhile, I was busy with my startup and time flew by. We kept in touch over divorce stuff, and I noticed she was changing. One day, she said the papers were ready for me to sign and to get them from her office. I waited downstairs for a while, only to figure out the company changed owners. Nick, after Kathy's shares, finally snapped and went on a rampage looking for her. He yelled, "Let her come out to see me. No way she's breaking up with me just like that." But Kathy wasn't indulging his foul temper. Before the transition of power was even complete, she got the company's PR department involved. She was determined to take Nick down, even if it meant dragging herself into the fray. No one knew digging into Nick's background would be so easy. Very soon, it came to light that years ago Nick's parents had pushed him into drugging Kathy with the intention of taking over her family's assets. My former father-in-law had uncovered the truth long ago, with solid evidence. He just kept it all quiet out of respect for his daughter, and to spare my feelings. When I dug deeper, I found out something even more explosive. Kathy had sold off her shares to a company veteran, who was her father's lifelong friend. Then she donated that money in our daughter's name. She hadn't been to the office in a long time, so why would she want to meet me here? I was puzzled. With no sign of her, I was about to leave. Then Kathy's old assistant came over and handed me divorce papers. "This is from Kathy for you," she said. I thanked her and was about to go when she added, "Go visit the hospital. Yoon is about to go. Does that have anything to do with me?" I replied in an eerily calm voice. "Can you really be this heartless?" she asked. "She wore herself out for you and your daughter. Doesn't that stir anything in you?" I glanced at the assistant with amusement. My daughter had suffered beyond words and left this world in pain. Even if Kathy were torn to pieces, it wouldn't suffice. I turned and sent Kathy a message. "See you at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow." I didn't care if she was bedridden or faking it. We were getting divorced before she died, period. After a long time, she replied, "Pick me up at the hospital tomorrow." She sent me the location. The next day at the hospital, she was already dressed. She looked a lot thinner and had a glimmer of light in her eyes when she saw me, like I was her beacon. "You actually came," she said. "I knew you couldn't let me go." Before I could speak, her eyes dimmed again, and she mocked herself. "Oh, you came to take me to get a divorce." She seemed lifeless, like a shell of a person. Once it was done, I threw myself back into my work. Cutting off all ties, there was nothing left to connect us. When news broke of Kathy's suicide, I had just closed a new project. At the celebration dinner, my partners were chatting away. What a pity. Kathy was a rare business genius. Her business model is in textbooks. Her father wasn't half the professional she was. But what a downfall after the divorce. They say she lost her mind. She started hanging around an elementary school, claiming to pick up her daughter, they said. But her daughter had long passed. Apparently, in her final moments, she was trapped in nightmares. Kept calling for Lily to wait for her, then burst into tears, saying Lily wouldn't wait anymore. My fingers paused around my cigarette. Lily, that was my daughter's name.